Good morning again. Today it's June 2nd, and we're in John chapter 21. Just a reminder again at the beginning of the month that what we're doing is walking through this Bible here, the one-year Bible. Oops, sorry. And I'm doing it in the NIV version here as I'm reading it, but it's available in other versions as well. And it has readings each day from the Old Testament, the New Testament, from the Psalms and Proverbs. I like that. I maybe would prefer that we had gospel all the way through the year. We're about to wrap up the Gospel of John here. That means that we're not going to come back to a gospel for the rest of the year. So it's kind of hard to be done with the gospels by June 2nd, but that's the way it's laid out. So yeah, there's other ways to do it. Maybe another year we'll do it a different way. But John 21 is so important because it's after the resurrection. He gives us some details about things that happen. There's much about it that is amazing, and certainly the restoration of Peter happens in this section here. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a movie, if you're in my family, you've seen it because I made you watch it, but there's a movie called Risen, and it kind of concentrates on that time after Jesus' resurrection. He kind of looks at it from the point of view of a Roman soldier who's investigating the disappearance of the body of Jesus, and Pilate is in that version of it, desperate to get that back so that people don't claim that this person is actually risen, and the person who this Roman soldier has much to learn as he investigates this alleged resurrection of Jesus and comes to know the truth about that. But one of the things I really love about that portrayal is that it gives a sense of anticipation that Jesus, over those days after the resurrection, was not constantly with his disciples, but he would appear intermittently with them. They never knew when he was going to appear or disappear or how long he would be with them in each of those encounters. And I like how it showed that kind of just the anticipation. When is he going to come again? When am I going to run into him again? And that's what I think we see here in John 21 too, is the disciples are out there fishing, and they don't know when to expect Jesus, if they're going to expect Jesus. Although he told them to go into Galilee ahead of him, and he would meet them there, but. They're surprised to find him there. Don't even recognize him at first. I think, in his resurrected body was somewhat different than his earthly body, and so there's some difficulty in recognizing who he is, even though they're expecting to see him again. And that's, I think, the position we find ourselves in too, awaiting the second coming of Christ, not knowing exactly when that's going to come, and having intermittent, kind of deep encounters with him, but sometimes those are few and far between for us, and so we live in that sense of anticipation as well. And so Peter gets that chance of restoration, which is so good and so important. I'm not going to spend time on it just for reasons of time today, but again, he ends his gospel, John does, with these things. He says, verse 25, Jesus did many other things as well. If every one of them were written down, I suppose that even the whole world would not have room for the books that would be written. And I think that's a marvelous way to put it for John, that he knows much more that he could share with us, but he's been very selective, knowing that these were the most important things. And what a wonderful way to wrap up this book with that restoration of Peter, and then with the assurance that this is the disciple who testifies to these things and who wrote them down. We know that his testimony is true. So it comes from John's voice and pen and his experience and his closeness with the Lord. And he shares just a bit of that for us for all of these ages later. And I'm thankful for it. It's good to have John's witness. And now we'll move on to the book of Acts next.